sa radyo DZGB ang programang Usapang Konsyumer at Negosyo. Programang magtataonin kasimbagan sa saindong mga kahapotan tungkol sa pagninegosyo. Magdadara ning kadagdagang impormasyon mapadapit sa mga diretsyon ning mga konsumidor asin mga giya kung paano maging mga responsableng parabakan. Usapang Konsyumer at Negosyo. Mataon pagnigbid sa mga matrayumpong negosyante asin sa mga establishmento di negosyo na may marhayin na kontribusyon sa komunidad.
Usapang Konsyumer at Negosyo. Manalungog na kada primero Biyernes kan bulan, alas 11 sagkod alas 12 ninodo. Ihahatod sa Indo kan Department of Trade and Industry Regional Office 5. Usapang Konsyumer at Negosyo. Abangan.
Yeah. May I greet you, Mas Batenyo. May naaga po sa iyo na tanan. So I gave a very long message earlier, but well, siguro let me just inject a personal note. Growing up in Masbate, my nona tita, the sister of my lolo, maternal side, they had a PV tree at their backyard, right in the city of Masbate. It was not city then. Also, it's tall PV tree. So at a young age, I was already exposed to eating pili from the cloud na sinasawsaw namin sa patis. In Masbate, and we dip it in patis. And then, syempre, we would break in our language, pilad. Pinindilan natin yung shell and very fresh. Syempre, madulas. That's why we try it first before we pilad. So, and then I practice it again in our visits in Sorsogon with this project. So that's where my passion is coming from in helping build this project. So we started from collecting mark registration because back then we didn't have the GI regulations, but we saw the need really to protect People PD as a brand. And now that we have these GI regulations, which we promulgated in 2022, it's really long overdue for us in people to seek protection by means of GI. So we're fortunate that we have partners like Red, Mr. Patrick Belisario, Mr. Peter Damari who will work with you in registering this people Billy. I'll just be there sitting on the desk to affix my signature later on.
Thank you, Attorney Ross. Sir Patrick, Belisario.
Good morning again. On behalf of Red SLA, we are happy to be a partner again. Just to share with you the first step. The first step was really not on the collective mark of the GI. It's on the name of people. If you notice, we were using the letter K people. So we started that one when we introduced the collective mark way back in 2015 with the TRTA, TRTA, Trade-Related Technical Assistance Part 2 under the European Union project. In 2013, we gathered the stakeholders of PLE already as early as 2013, and the first decision made by the stakeholders was to choose to be either the vehicle with C or vehicle with K. So, in our vehicle bidding, the stakeholders chose the vehicle because it's more Filipino and the C is more Hispanized. So that was the rationale why we have this word that is to be called as K. Okay. Then, of course, we started already the discussion on organizing the stakeholders of this bidding way back then. So, just to share with you that we have started already the journey. Then it was continued with the collective mark. Now we are transitioning to geographical indications.
Thank you very much. By the way, I would like to inform everyone that we are live via DZGB as we have a regular program, Usapang Konsyumer at Negosyo. right at this hour, 11 to 12. So we decided to have this activity live via the program. So thank you so much, and we will start the ball rolling. Yes.
Good morning. Rights Workshop of the Philippines. I'd like to ask, I'm happy that PD finally registered to WIPO. Because when I was in WIPO as a fellow, we were told by the WIPO official that the Philippines has the lowest registration in the world pertaining to our products. Now, with the registration of delay into a geographical indication, what is the advantage of our product in the global market?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question, but maybe there's sort of misinformation that we have the lowest registration. We need to correct that, because even in ASEAN alone, we have far higher registration compared to other ASEAN neighbors, and in fact, well, we have the fastest processing time in the Philippines compared to other ASEAN member states and even other Asian countries. The very reason why we were recognized by the World Trademark Review as the third most innovative IP office in the world. So we have to correct that first information. The next, what are the advantages? Well, it depends on the context, the perspective rather. First, to the community owning the GI. So geographical indications, just like other intellectual property rights, are pillars for economic and social development. By building protecting a geographical indication, a community can bank on this branding tool just domestically and even internationally because of the reputation attached to the product bearing the GI. Please note that the GI is always referring to a particular product with certain reputation, characteristics, and quality that are attributable only to that place and to some extent to human factors, the know-how of the people in the value chain, the farmers, the processors. So this can increase the value. We have seen a lot of products where the prices, for example, Gibbons mangoes alone, prior to GI and collective mark protections, the price of mango per kilo would be 100 or even less. But with collective mark and GI protection, it rose to 200 pesos per kilo. And from the perspective of the consumers can be guaranteed of certain quality of the product because GI protected products observe certain standards, practices that every player in the value chain, the farmer or the processor, must follow in order to maintain the quality and the reputation of this product. So whenever we buy as consumers, we can be guaranteed that the product that we're buying really possesses certain characteristics. And alongside these advantages, a certain area which is known for GI also promote tourism. We have seen other examples like Darjeeling tea in India, the Nampun silk of Thailand. These areas of production are also areas of tourism. So there is this collateral benefits that the entire community can profit from GI protection. Another is the environment. Most of the GIs are agricultural products and foodstuffs. So we talk about trees. And what are trees for? What are plants for? Their habitats. habitats for animals, the birds. So whenever we make these products, these GIs, we also protect the environment. And imagine the oxygen, the amount of oxygen that can be released from these areas where these GI products are grown or produced. So these are all the advantages of being geographical indications.
Okay, follow-up question.
Yeah.
Sa Pilipinas, how many products do we have as featured under GI?
Okay. Yeah. So because promulgated the regulations on GIs only in 2022, so it's relatively new. We have so far protected or registered 3 local GIs. The first was the Guimaras mangoes. The second was the acidity of Albuquerque. And the third is Aklan Piña, the Piña silk textile of course, Aklan. There's 4th, it's just awaiting third-party observation, but if no one opposes the registration of Lake Cebu Tinala of South Cotabato, this is the fabric produced by the dream weavers, the women dream weavers of the Tiboli indigenous cultural community. So that will be the 4th. So people believe can maybe or can be the 5th or 6th, but hopefully or definitely within the top 10 registered products. But of course, there are other foreign GIs that already sought protection in the Philippines, and they have already gotten our approval, among which are Prosecco, Cognac, Parmigiano Reggiano, the cheese, and 2 others. 5 foreign GIs protected in the Philippines. Now 6 because there was only recently prosciutto. That's the preserved meat from Italy.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Attorney Ross. Yes, later po, after ng Radyo Realitas, si Dance Alba from Radyo Realitas.
For Attorney Ross, since na-launch na ako namin, because dealing with GI, gaano po tatagaw gaano po tatagaw natin ang process? Ano po po ang natin ang
Yeah, again, that's a very interesting question. Based on the previous GIs that we have registered, the process will take from 3 to 4 months if there's no objection. And guided by your consultants here, I am confident that this will not last 4 months. So this will be very fast as long as you comply with the documentary requirements under the rules, and one which the most difficult or complicated requirement would be the manual of the specifications. In other countries, they call this the code of practice or the book of standards. The most important part of which is the documentation of the link of the qualities, characteristics of the legal feeling to the terroir. Now, it's not only the soil that there, but other factors such as the quality, your harvesting practices, your planting practices, your storage, your the variety of the peeling that you grow. All these determination will be factored in, will be compiled by your consultants to come up with this document we call the manual of specification. Of course, the territorial delimitation will also be part of the manual specifications. Is it going to cover the entire legal region? Even though Masbate, for example, does not produce as much quantity as Sorsogon, But when you consider Masbate as part of the geographical limitation, it's really up to you. It's not for me to tell you should include Masbate because I'm a Masbate. No. That's not part. It should come from you. It should come from you. The stakeholders in the value chain. And I'm so happy to know, yesterday I was here, I was seated there at the back. I was happy to know that all of the researches done by under the BCARD, the contribution of the academic, the government research institutions to come up with these studies that would really link the people and the characteristics of the PV, and also the machines developed to crack, to be pulped, to extract the oil. These machines, technology and tradition can coexist. They can work hand in hand in protecting GIs. While GI covers traditional practices, technology can be part of these practices.
Thank you. Follow up? Okay na? Okay. So we entertain your question after our media friends are done with their. Okay. Yes, si Mr. Marlon Atun from the Philippine Information Agency.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. To our speakers, persons, magandang umaga. We are talking about this PDP products. So we are so glad that we have this geographical indication to GI. Now, the question is, with the present status of PED nuts in vehicle vision, the number of trees, production, and all, paano ba natin ito masustain just in case we will be flooded with investors for this? Of course, magiging malaking bagay sa atin if we would have a lot of investors on PED. However, the supply of PED would be our concern here. The machineries and all. So perhaps the action will also be a support to this. So question is, how will this geographical indication boost the resources, really resources here in vehicle vision? And how about in other areas in the country if they would want to plant those PED? Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Based on the data presented yesterday, there's not much area granted for the board. There's not much for the gathering of information is still on the surface. Meaning they've only counted those that can be accessed. Okay, so I think the highest figure so far is around 5,000 hectares. But if you really from what I gathered, is both planted and allowed to grow in Kuwait, and animals are playing roles in propagating it. Anyway, okay, so I think at the moment we are lucky. We are fortunate because there's a natural sources. There's a big source coming from the wildly growth or growth from the forest. At the same time, our researchers are developing this new varieties of PD that gives the activity, that gives a better quality. So if we can shift or we can balance by increasing our modern approach on having these hybrid varieties or registering these varieties or propagating these varieties to many nursery operators, then we can start the increase of our production. if we are to anticipate a global market for this, then we have to couple it with the preparation of the ground. So we can do two things. Pwede natin alagaan, balikan yung mga forest areas at identify natin yon, bilangin, at turuan natin yung mga harvesters or wild collectors kung paano siya pangalagaan. Kung mapangalagaan yung yung mga puno na yun from the forest, then we are doing our job, or we are teaching our farmers to continue increasing the supply. At the same time, kung meron mga papasok na investments, either from our own citizens here or the local population, or kung meron external investments, then we can promote this as farm production venture. So I've heard in Romblon, they promote pili production as an investment, as ecotourism, wherein foreign investors can leave their money, and the operators will take care of the planting of the pili in some parts of Romblon. Then I've heard also in summer, they are propagating this pili. They are promoting the planting of pili also. So I think we cannot rely on our natural factors. So we also have to take care of attracting these investors to help us grow the production area for pili.
On the legislative side, my colleague mentioned to you yesterday, in her presentation, that there are pending bills in the Senate and the House of Representatives. One of the provisions in those proposed legislation is enjoining government agencies such as the DA, the DOST, IPOFIL, DTI, among others, to capacitate GI industries and those potentially GI communities, strengthen or capacitate them to sustain, among others. It's a broad provision that would include, that will encompass, programs that would sustain or increase the production of these goods covered by the GI. And on the international side, let me just cite two examples. In China, they have these Guangxi onions. Actually, it's something leeks. The Chinese leeks. They also have this pear. But when these products were protected as GIs, the production increased because the farmers were encouraged to ship and to also produce these products, knowing the growing demand outside, not only in China, but outside China. And thus their export markets likewise expanded to other countries. So those were documented success stories of these two Chinese products after they were granted GI protection.
Okay, thank you. Yes, follow-up question.
Yes, thank you very much for the responses. Well, this GI guarantees, what do you call this? The guarantees permanent support to the stakeholders, the farmers, of the planters of pili. Be recognized as priority crop or product of the Philippines that can be exported in a voluminous amount to, of course, support the general economic condition of the country. Now, of course, first we have this establish the technological aspect that would produce more pili, and of course encourage the investors to invest in it, because having this GI and obviously having these assurances that you would actually gain from it, the return of investment would be high. So what about if there are counterfeiting of pili? Is that possible? Is that covered by GI, how would the distribution, or how would the differently with this counterfeited feed if ever what would happen? Thank you.
Yeah. Let me address the last part of the questions. Yung sa counterfeiting or enforcement of GIs. So, again, under the proposed bill, the legislation is supposed to strengthen protection of GIs with respect to enforcement. The one interesting provision in the is making the violation of GI infringement as a crime against the economic interest of the state. So it's not like a private crime, an ordinary crime where a complaint must be lodged, must be filed by the offended party or by the victim. In this case, we really put very high emphasis on the violation of GI as a crime against the economic interest of the state, because because of the tradition, the industries involved as well. So it's a very, as you mentioned, this is like a priority concern. The public or the would-be violators would know how serious we are in protecting these industries covered by the GI. So by that, the state can actually run after the violators, even without the initiative of Farmers Association, because we understand all the resources and costs involved in prosecuting a case if at all this violation would occur. As regards making legal PD as a priority commodity, maybe DTI can answer that, but maybe just an input. We have seen in our engagement with the stakeholders how valuable legal PD as a commodity is, especially in products such as enemy oil. It's highly recognized as a very essential product, essential oil. In fact, when we bought legal PD products in Geneva 2 years ago, when we reported that it was already registered as a collective mark under the White Gold Project, a lot of interested participants during that meeting signified interest not only in the PD kernel alone. They even some even commented this is even better than academia. Now, some of them really expressed that it was the first time they tasted that kind of nut, and so we gave them contact numbers of producers who can export to their countries, and also the LED oil from Bibiani. We distributed them as tokens, gifts to those visitors to our exhibit.
So, sobrang maganda. Talagang grabe ang potential ng PBM natin. And as to supplies po, making source of our government, he has this project of 1 million tree to be planted. I think I'm getting kind of trees na pinaplant sa source of gold na-accomplish na ito na-realize na po yung 1 million trees na pinaplant, yung mga kasama yung platong. And I think as to the supplies, all of us and people will plant 1 tree per host, and you will have no a problem with the supply in the coming years. So I think it's the right time to plant that tree. Is it 20 years ago? Now, yes sir, tama, sir. Now is the time to plant. So if Bicolanos, per household na lang, plant tree sa guardrails, or much better kung meron silang manawag ng then we will be experiencing problem in this plants. As of now po kasi, feeling na per kilo is more or less 1,000 sa max. So that would be a very big source of income sa ating mga Polano if all of us will have three, kasi ang isang three having stocks yung na yield yung isang habang hindi ko nakuha sa ating mga percent para mga source persons, the 80% talaga nila yung everything about PB, from yung sinabi kami ng Dr. Jessa na kasi sa GI, di ba, yung G, yung ECT, they presented po kahapon ng ating mga source persons. So we are so grateful po talaga, especially sa academic, sa big part, na they have these studies na researches about PB. And if you are a Bicolano, you can be proud of ating community.
Thank you so much, Mr. Marlon Takun, and thank you also to Kitty Malu and Attorney Ross. Yes, from DZGB muna po, si Joshua Dean.
Good morning po, Joshua Dean from DZGB. Siguro po sa DTI, kasi nababanggit na po kanina na wala tayong problema sa production. But my concern ay doon naman po sa business side. Kasi dito po sa Bicol Region, karamihan mga micro, small and medium enterprises na walang masyadong malaking puhunan. So if ever man magkaroon ng malaking demand, investment sa people bidding after the GI, ano po ang plan ng DTI to help these processors and MSMEs, and especially po yung mga small-time farmers po natin ng bidding.
Great time din, kasi we have this program, a project lang. Ito yung promoting sustainability and productivity for enterprise resilience and upscaling in the Philippines. We call it yung acronym is PROSPER. So dito po, we can submit proposals for funding like from foreign funding and ADB also, Asian Development Bank. Medyo bago lang kasi dito sa akin din. I was tasked by our regional director to handle the PROSPER budget. So, kasama mo dito ang PD. So, we can, natuwa kami kahapon ni Engineer Juan Nandino nung present nila, sir, yung mga equipment. So, we can propose kasi medyo malakihan yung amount doon, to be honest. So, I'm sure ang ating mga processors, especially our key players sa TV industry, hindi nila ma-afford yun. So we are doing what we are doing in DTI. We are trying to find ways para po talagang matulungan ng ating mga key players sa TV industry. So with this PROSPER po na project, we can go through it pa. I'm still familiarizing with this program. Pero alam ko po, malaking tulong po ito sa lalo na po sa TV industry ng Bicol.
Thank you.
Yes,
Mr. If I may add, it's good to have these new programs sa government natin. Yung mga proven or may mga success stories on working with smallholders up to the export level. The key is not to upgrade everyone in the value chain. No. The key is to stick to your competency. Let's say, farmers, kung dati silang piliting maging exporter overnight, no? Or magiging entrepreneur directly relating to the market. What we can do is improve their capacity, at the same time, organize them, cluster them. Then let them master their technology, their competency, at the same time, master the technology of organization. So, ito yung key sa engaging the smallholders. We cannot make them big because they're already limited with their resources. Nandito yung lupain nila. Pwede silang value adding, pero up to some point lang. Pero if you organize them, if you organize 100, 500 farmers, and put up a common facility for them or tie them up with a processor, then that strategy can also handle the future demands. So ito yung part of my other work is organizing farmers to partner with processors and exporters. I don't encourage, or it's not that I'm encouraging. I'm seeing stories where farmers are forced to organize and make a co-op and receive all these projects, for service facilities, processing facilities, and they're expected to become entrepreneurs overnight. So the project is only as good as the project. I mean, the life of that intervention is only as good as the project. So ang tinuturo, ang nakikita ko sa GI, dito sa atin, hindi rin siya iba sa smallholder setup natin around the country. So, like when I went around last month, last November, sa different production sites, sabi ng mga processor, I work with 300 farmers, work with 500 farmers. Pero yung iba, ang lens nila, parang bakit siya nang ibibigyan ng facility ng government? Parang swerte niyan. Pero at the back end, hindi nila nakikita na yung investment nila nasa community, yung investment nila nasa pag-maintain ng cluster o ng organization. So ito yung unang kailangan nating i-master or palakasin, yung clustering natin. Next is the chaining. So the value adding, we can innovate, we can do value addition, we can do innovation, etc. Then that would be the task of the processors and those dealing with the market of the farmers. So you can then the next thing is how to retain the market. So ang hindi pa nakasama dito sa GI, hindi pa uso, yung tinatawag natin quality assurance. Sinabing may requirement ito sa certification sa international market. Automatic sasabihin natin, oh, that's very expensive. Then sabihin natin na we cannot afford it, then mag-drop out tayo or we don't engage in the market. We stick to our neighbors, we stick to the product market. Ito yung dinadagdag natin sa geographical indications, yung quality assurance. For example, tanong kanina itong benefit dito sa international market. Once you are registered and certified as a GI, our recognition is at par with the international GI products. Example, champagne. So that's a geographical indication product from the champagne region. So kung meron tayong vehicle PHGI, registered and certified, then it can be acceptable in the European market because it is comparable with the GI products. Okay. So that's the one benefit. But the technology there or the technique that we should learn is how to have this certification for the PHGI in the future. So this is the other thing that we have us improve our business or be competitive in our industry.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Joshua. Okay ka na po. And thank you, sir, to our resource persons.
Relative to that, kanina I mentioned about the project, that's for the small and medium enterprises. So sa ating mga micro, ang DTI, we have this mga technical assistance to our PE players and PE players. Like for example, po yung ating mga packaging and labeling. We really have this packaging labeling project every year throughout the province, throughout the region, to improve the labels and the packaging as well as our product, the products. So with this assistance na binigay po ng DTI, and then bringing them sa mga national and regional trade fairs, we are bringing them in these marketing events. And ipopromote namin ang ating hindi ko dito. So, sa mga entrepreneurs po natin, we have this packaging academy. And then yung FDA LTO registration, dapat adjusted sila kasi medyo sabi nila sa mga trade fair, without the FDA LTO registration, hindi natin sila pwedeng i-promote sa national level. So with this, we are working in DTI na magkaroon ng ating mga key players ng DLTO and yung mga ng packaging and other technical stuff na binibigay natin sa ating background. Thank you so much. Yes, before we proceed, may I acknowledge the presence of the regional head of the Philippine Information Agency, Sir Mariano. Thank you so much for gracing our activity. Yes, ma'am. And sunod na si Sir. Sorry, yan pa si Sir. Okay, magandang umaga po muli sa lahat. Okay, Maris Estrella here of Bicol University and Bicol. And program leader po na Pilinan, sir. So, balikan ko po yung sinabi ni Sir Patrick sa Organization of the Farmers. So, yeah, very true po yun. Kailangan gawin. That's why, in our project 3 sa Pilinan, sir, we train our farmers. Because when we talk of quality breeding permits, quality harvest, hindi po yung nag-start sa pagpitas. It starts right there in the farm. Just like the malas mango, how to come up with a flawless mango na kaakit-akit po sa lahat. It starts with the selection of the variety, how to nurture the seedlings, how to make the mango grow so lovely in the farms, so vigorous in the farm, until such time na makas tayo ng flawless mango. So yun din po ang dapat na parating natin sa ating mga pilihan. Quality oil, quality kernel, dry kernel, or processed product out of PV and the pili oil. It starts to, sabi ko nga, sa farm. Kaya nag-organisa na po talaga. Lahat ng farmers, pinapacitate doon sa expansion of our farm areas, sila po ay na-training na. That's why, sabi nga po ng TA, increase sa number of certified, di po ba, seedling producers. Kasi nung nagsimula po kami, nakikidil kami sa isa lang, hindi pa po na-meet yung demand na to over hectares and hectares. Kasi gusto ng USC, yung sponsors natin, talagang recognized variety na ang ipapalaganap namin sa plantations. So in the absence of sufficient supply, then we came up with basta kinarakize ng PA at binigyan kami ng garantiya na maganda siya kasi. So we can go back. And that's the very reason yung kinarakize namin sa field ay nasa GPS so that we can go back because yung sinabi ni Sir, organoleptic studies, we're into that. Because we also have the Food Innovation Center, the Regional Quality Assurance Center. So we have the science we can do it. So talagang the whole chain, sir. The selection of the farm, sabi nga ni Sir Vlad, no? Na nakita natin kung gaano katibay si Pili sa tabi ng dagat hanggang 700 plus sea level nakaka-survive siya. In basic soil, andyan siya. Ganun siya katibay. But yun na nga po, ano yung protocol simula sa farm that will give us the best kernel and oil. Yung po ay dapat natin pag-aralan at yung pag-capacitate ng ating farmers and entrepreneurs ipagpatuloy. So, kasi sa Pili po, hindi lang sa ngayon, ang nadidiscuss natin yung processors, grainer processors. But we have to recognize the fact na ang agripreneurship nagsisimula po sa pag-produce ng quality varieties, how to come up and take good care of quality seedlings na magbibigay sa atin din ng best harvest. So, ito po yung dapat na ating tutukan at mag-focus po talaga. So, yung po ang i-share po.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your sharing. Maraming salamat po. It's a very good input.
So we entertain another question from BU. Si Sir, please introduce yourself muna. And to whom your question, to whom you are addressing your question.
Good morning po at I'm Christopher of Bicol University. My question, sir, is for the GI. may expiration po ba yung registered ng GI? And if Bicol PD is registered, pwede pa po ba kami mag-register ng Bicol Cacao or Bicol PD? Yun lang po.
Yeah. Very interesting question. Sa GI kasi, may forever din. Kasi GI, by its very nature, no, unlike patents, patents are scientists kayo. You know that patent can only last for 20 years from filing date. Yung Philippine model, 7 years lang, and so on. Pero GI kasi, once it is protected, and as long as those factors exist, the soil, the climate, etc., that you claim to be factors in coming up with those characteristics and the quality, that the GI should continue to exist, protected. So wala siyang expiration. So parang pagbibigyan dapat hindi nag-expire.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Oh, yes. Actually, there is no prohibition. No? As long as, of course, you can establish that. But kailangan kasi yun, meron siyang may unbeaten rule na yung practices to produce those products had already existed long time. Hindi siya pwedeng overnight. Tara, mag-brand na naman tayo ng Bicol mag-brand naman tayo ng Bicol Cacao or Bicol Sili. And perhaps sa marketing perspective din, baka ma-dilute din ng Bicol, no? At let me share also. When we talk to the mango stakeholders to protect, say, Guimaras mangoes, long time ago, I think that in 2004, 2005, we gathered the mango producers. Ang kanilang perspective at that time, bakit mag-regionalize tayo? Why is there a need to call mangoes Guimaras mangoes, Zambales mangoes? Why don't we brand our mangoes as Philippine mangoes? Or meron pa isa, Philippine super mangoes. So but I said, yung nature ng GI kasi the definition pertains to a region, territory, locality. It's a bit specific. But of course, there are exceptions. Kunyari, Colombia coffee. It's a neighboring country, but the territorial limitation is not or does not cover the entirety or the entire Colombia. So when you say Philippine mangoes or Philippine cacao, it grows anywhere in the Philippines. So it loses yung characterization niya. So yeah, but in principle, wala namang prohibition from registering or protecting other GIs. Maybe Bicol Cacao or Bicol Sili, etc.
Okay, thank you so much. So we entertain the last question probably from, yes sir, you will be the last. You will have the last question tonight.
Magandang umaga po. Judy Chavez po ng Bicol University. Paano po si Sir nag-design? Ayun po kasi ito kanina, yung manual specification. Nag-start na po kayo siya.
Sino?
Doon, di ba? Opo. Kasi sabi daw kailangan po siya for the GI.
For the Bicol PD.
Sa indong nadangog ang programang Usapang Konsyumer at Negosyo. Usapang Konsyumer at Negosyo. Inihatod sa Indo kan Department of Trade and Industry, Region 5, asin kan DZGB.
Horacio Imperata,